It was a lifetime of anxiety and just all sorts of never feeling good enough for myself. And I was never that person that was confident to do anything. And just like a really, really huge fast forward, I ended up at a shaman's house. And we went on a journey together, psychedelic journey. And some themes came out. And sort of like three pillars came out. So living in harmony, living with joy, with truth, like different things. And it really stayed with me. And I try to live that way moving forward.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz. Ricky, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, yes. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for bringing water with you.
You're welcome.
Very nice. Coming to a person's home, bring a gift. I love the gesture.
It's Texas summer.
That's right. It's Texas summer. I'm glad that you drove here and you didn't walk here.
That's true, yes.
Because when you were first going to jiu-jitsu, you were walking, weren't you?
I still do walk.
You still walk jiu-jitsu, but it's close to your house.
Like 4 minutes walk.
Oh, okay. And you didn't start jiu-jitsu in the middle of the summer?
No, it was like October.
Okay, yeah. So you're all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. You're another person from the gym that's on the podcast. That's awesome. I feel like I only meet cool people at the jiu-jitsu gym because jiu-jitsu is just like that thing.
It's
like
great.
It's a bond. It's hard. We'll get into all of that. But before we get into all your story, shrooms, all the good stuff, the meat and bones, how are you doing? Like actually, how are you doing?
Overall, good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Very, I try to live as much harmonious. I like to, is everything in harmony? That's how I try to kind of think of each day. So I'm in harmony, so I'm good.
Okay. How did you come up with that way of living?
It was a lifetime of anxiety and just all sorts of never feeling good enough for myself. And I was never that person that was confident to do anything. And just like a really, really huge fast forward, I ended up at a shaman's house. And we went on a journey together, psychedelic journey. And some themes came out. And sort of like three pillars came out. So living in harmony, living with joy, with truth, like different things. And it really stayed with me. And I try to live that way moving forward.
That's beautiful, though. I talk about harmony a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's interesting that you bring that up. I talk about it more in like, because everyone says like, let's have a work-life balance or a balance in life. And from my experience, I've never had any balance. And I think it felt like that was a good thing. Like I don't see not having balance as a bad thing. I was maybe at some points like walking like a tightrope, trying to have sort of this dynamic equilibrium potentially. But like when I was playing baseball, like the balance was definitely shifted towards baseball, but I still felt like there was harmony in my life. Maybe I was a little obsessive. Maybe I foreclosed my identity like a little bit and I've learned better about that. Sure. But I never grasped that concept. Like, am I supposed to be 50-50? No, I want to be like in harmony, like you're saying. Like when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, 100% in jiu-jitsu. When I'm doing baseball, 100% in baseball. When I'm with my fiance, 100% with my fiance. So I viewed it more like that. I mean, it's taken me a long time to sort of get to that idea, same as you, right? Through different modalities and experiences and things of that nature. But I really do like the word harmony. You know, it feels right, I think.
Right, it does.
You know, harmony feels like harmony.
It feels like harmony.
Okay, so let's bridge that gap. Okay. Because you talked about now feeling overall good as a father and a husband. You didn't say that, but you are.
Yeah. I mean, as good as you can feel. You know,
there's life.
There's life. There's mistakes and
yeah. There's the natural ebbs and flows. There's the inevitable stuff. The setbacks, the challenges. But there's also the beauty and the love.
Right.
Of course, you know that. So anxiety, not feeling good enough, all the way to meeting with a shaman. Let's bridge that gap.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to say the whole life story, but some things that were important to you that led you down to wanting to see that person or experiences that led to that path?
Right. So, there was never something that I really felt that I was good at, that was me, there was always somebody better at something, in school, gym, art, whatever it is. I was not very academic. I didn't think I was very smart, but I was very creative. I would write, I would like win speech writing competitions, but I never felt that was going to lead me to really anything. I really did enjoy writing jokes. I'd come up with my own jokes and share them with my friends. And there's no way you wrote that. I'm like, I did. It's like kind of like one-liners. Like Mitch Hedberg was a big influence on me. I guess artistically, comedically, and I absolutely loved. I would sit and just write at home. I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. Like I would rather just sit and just write my own show instead of watching another movie. I get bored. I get like, even like there are movies that I have seen that I do like, but even in those movies that I really do enjoy, I find myself kind of just losing interest and just doing my own thing anyway.
Yeah.
So eventually what happened was I started writing a blog. Once every 24 hours, I would post a new joke. It would kind of encourage me to keep being creative. And that blog eventually got traction.
You were posting a joke every 24 hours.
Yeah, a new one-liner.
Wow. Like just what site were you on at this point in your life?
What site was that?
Yeah, where were you posting these
jokes?
jokes?
It's just like a WordPress blog that I made.
Okay, you just created a website.
No social media.
Got it.
Yeah. And so my friends were visiting, and they were sharing with people, like their friends here and there. And eventually I had like 12,000 people that were coming, like checking the blog. Had little hit counters. It was a really stupid thing.
That's pretty sweet, though.
It was sweet. But I don't know what to do about it. Like,
sure.
Monetize, I don't know. I really don't like monetizing stuff. Like it's really bizarre to me. I went to school for advertising.
Yeah.
And I could really never work in advertising because I never really believed in the things I was advertising. And I didn't like that as a career. So
that makes sense to me.
Right.
I resonate with that.
Right. So I enjoyed the writing. So that's what I was doing. And eventually I decided that I wanted to write for Conan O'Brien. That became my new dream.
To write for Conan O'Brien.
Exactly.
What was he doing at this time? He had his nighttime show?
Yeah, he had his nighttime show, but I felt like his style kind of fit with my kind of goofy, silly, whimsical style.
Cool.
And so how am I going to write for Conan? So I ended up, I bought a domain name, letrickwriteforconan.com. And I made a petition, and I had all the people that were on my blog. I thought, okay, here's how I'll use those numbers. So I got a whole bunch of signatures on the blog and on the petition to write for Conan. And somehow, I don't even know how, it got into the hands of one of his publicists. And she got in touch with me. And at this time now, he'd gone off air. There was like a gap during this time.
Yeah.
And he was doing a tour across North America. And she said he's going to be in somewhere in Connecticut. Are you nearby? And I was yeah, like I was in Toronto, but I'm right there. So I told my wife, I'm like, we have to fly to Connecticut. Why? Because you're going to go meet Conan O'Brien. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm right there. Yeah, I'm a stone's throw away.
Right. So I have a newborn baby daughter at that time. Like not newborn, like she's probably half a year, It always feels, they still feel like newborn kind of, but yeah, so we go meet.
So you were married at this time with your first kid?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So we go meet Conan, and it's like really surreal. I don't know what I'm doing, It's just like I felt like I felt like I don't belong, I always feel like I don't belong, but I felt like I don't belong. But so he looked at my jokes. He thought they were funny, which was like really, really cool. But felt like wait till he really gets to know me. He won't think it's so funny later on. But for now,
you were thinking this in your head while he's talking to you.
I'm totally tricking him into thinking I'm something. And so he told me, he says, okay, you're a young guy. You don't have any stand-up comedy experience. He's never hired a writer that's never done stand-up, and he's never hired a writer under 40. Like two of those things.
Then you were both.
I was both. So he put me in touch with a couple of his writers.
Yeah.
He says, stay in touch with them. I'm too busy to be in touch with you myself. But if they want to keep in touch with you, like go back to Toronto, do some stand-up, get some experience, and come back, and we'll see what happens. So that's why I went back to Toronto. But I'm like, I feel like awkward. I'm not very good, and like I I don't like putting myself in social situations. I had like social anxiety. I didn't want to do stand up. I don't want to be in front of people. This is like challenging enough, you know? Like,
yeah.
So I decided, nah, I'm not gonna, whatever. It's like, I'm just gonna let go of that dream and just gonna keep writing.
You let go of it.
I decided, I'm not gonna start doing stand up. It's ridiculous. Okay. But I don't know what happened. Something, you know, my friends encouraged me, you gotta try, just try it. So there was this comedy search competition that came up in Toronto. It was called the Comedy Brawl, something weird, a weird name. And I signed up because it guarantees you a few shows, a few open mics. I think, okay, I'll try. I'll get some, see what happens. And I kept going through to the next round. I went through each show, went through to the next round.
You were doing live performances?
Yeah, these were my very first live comedy shows.
Okay. So where was the time frame between you meet Conan?
Yes.
He likes you. He likes your jokes. He thinks you're funny. He wants you to stay in touch with the writers. And then you make the decision like, stand-up's not for me until this competition. How long was that? Do you remember?
Probably closer to a year.
So a year, did you feel any sense of regret? Were you still writing jokes from not joining the stand-up thing, and this sort of comedy competition just like lit you back up? What was the process there?
Yeah, I was still writing every day. And,
with the same blog website? Yeah,
the same website. And I really had no desire to do stand-up even when I started doing it, but I thought, okay, let me just try it. So it's something that scares me. So it was doing it felt like I'm going to sort of try and overcome something that scares me and do it. This is more of like a personal challenge than it was that I want to be a stand-up comedian.
Got it.
I just didn't expect to keep kind of going through to the next round.
Yeah.
And every time I go through to the next round, I would look for excuses why I can't go to the next show and perform. Like I'm looking for reasons to drop out. And, you know, so I didn't drop out. I kept going. I made it to the final show and came second overall in this competition. So
in all of Toronto.
Yeah, there was about 300 and something comics
That's incredible.
But the problem was for me, because of that, there was a tension, and I started getting calls to do this show and that show, and out of town comics were asking me to open for them. And there I was really making excuses. Like I really let go of many opportunities because I didn't want to go. I just felt nervous. I felt like it wasn't going to go well. You know, if my friends come, they see me bomb, it's going to look really bad. So I decided to kind of stop doing that.
Wow.
Yeah. And started an Instagram account and started posting my jokes on Instagram, and that started growing because it suited Instagram pretty well, like one-liners, and I would illustrate each joke with an MS Paint style cartoon, and I ended up growing that account, and because I felt like it turned into a thing where I post one joke. This is after like a few years. I post one joke and I've got like 2,000 likes within 10 minutes of posting it.
Wow.
And it was a really big adrenaline rush to see that happening. And I felt like, wow, like in a comedy, when I was doing the stand-up, there's a room of maybe, say, 50 people. And to spend 2 hours to reach 50 people, here I'm spending 10 minutes and reaching 2,000 people. And I can do as much as I want. So I figured, like, screw stand-up comedy. I'm just going to be an Instagram comedian, whatever that meant.
Great. An Instagram comedian.
Yeah, I guess so.
Perfect. All right, so we're there. You're doing that.
So we're doing that, and the account's growing, and I'm becoming more obsessed with the following the account, and like I'm checking it all the time. I lost a follower. Why did I lose a follower? I'm seeing like, do I follow the person that unfollowed me because I'm going to unfollow them? And I'm gained a follower. And then like, why didn't this joke get this much likes? I got 3,000 likes the day before. How come this one only got like 1,800? Maybe it was the wrong time of day that I posted. So I would delete that joke and try and post at the same time that I did it the day before. It really started consuming my life.
Wow.
And I went on like this for probably about 4 years in total with the Instagram. And it really started dominating my whole life and my personality. When I would meet somebody for the first time, I would introduce myself as my social media handle before introducing them as myself. And I felt that, I started growing an ego because I know I've got followers, and I would think people should be impressed. And when somebody wasn't impressed, I'd be like, screw that person that's not impressed. I've got a following. And it just, it turned into something that I didn't really like at all. And, tying into the shaman,
right?
When I was immersed in that experience, one of the things that came up, when I was under the influence, was a life purpose. And I'm thinking about life purpose, and reality is a little bit distorted. And I start seeing my Instagram following the numbers, because I had them in my brain because I used to check all the time. And I see the numbers flying backwards, almost like a Rolodex flying backwards, and each number's flying away. And I get to 6, and I click on who's the 6 followers, and it's my wife and my kids and my dog. And it really hit me in a really deep way. Like, these are the people that matter to me. All those other people, like, it's cool that they like my jokes, but I'm spending all my time and all my energy just trying to get those likes. And in the meantime, I've got a family that loves me at home, and I kind of put them to the side. And I was heartbroken. I started, it was like a flashback. I started seeing every single moment where my family's having dinner, and they're calling me, and my kids are calling me, Daddy, come for dinner. My wife's come, let's come eat together as a family. Yeah, 5 more minutes, just wait, 'cause I'm waiting for the perfect time to post this one. And I end up, missed so many dinners, just sitting on the couch and working on my Instagram while they're having dinner. And I saw all those moments, and I was sobbing. I was sitting with the shaman, crying and sobbing. And how have I wasted these 4 years of precious time with my family for this? It makes no sense. So I decided I'm deleting social media, getting away from all that nonsense, and I'm going to try and live in a different way. And it was super, super impactful. I had no feelings I was gonna delete any social media going into that shaman session. I was thinking maybe I'll figure out how to make it even better, and I ended up coming out with the idea to get rid of everything.
What year was this?
This was about I'd say 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. What prompted you just to actually go to the shaman? Was it to enhance your life? Were you reading stuff about psychedelics? What was happening there?
So at the time, like I mentioned earlier, just got this anxiety, and never felt good enough for myself or for anybody. So I was seeing a psychologist just to kind of work through these ideas. It was a friend of mine actually in Toronto, but he was a psychologist. So, and I always felt good the day that I went there. I leave with kind of extra tool. Okay, here's how I can think about this different, and you feel good. But then as soon as a thought comes into my head, I don't know how to combat it. So it's good for that moment, but then after that, it's not good anymore. And I had a friend that had gone to the same shaman, and he said it changed his life. So I thought, okay, let me try. I got nothing to lose. I was nervous because in Toronto, marijuana is legal, but I react poorly with it. I get over anxious. I'm anxious anyway. It kind of just exacerbates everything. So I thought, okay, I've never done mushrooms, so it's going to be way much more intense than marijuana. Let's see what happens anyway.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I went to the shaman, just to kind of see if he has any solutions that are different to the psychologist. And it was honestly probably the most important, impactful moment of my life.
Yeah. Well, the Instagram account makes sense, right? It fits everything that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to tell jokes.
Yep.
You wanted to be creative, but you didn't want to be in front of anyone,
right.
But you wanted also people to know who you were at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the combination of the perfect storm. And kids are dealing with that right now, right? I've talked about this a little bit, but it's social media obviously has its pros and cons. But I think one of the things that's happening, especially with young people, is that they're trying to become famous without being excellent at something.
Right.
Majority of the time, not all circumstances, to be famous, quote unquote, you most likely have to be excellent at something. Not all the time. Again, there's different circumstances. Some people get lucky or they're prettier or whatever, right? But I'm just saying, like, if you're a movie star or a famous writer or an author or whatever, a famous athlete, right? Normally you're excellent at something. That's why you got famous. I don't think there should be fame, but that's like a different thing. Right. But nowadays, kids want to just be on social media and be famous. For what? You have to become excellent at something to be able to be recognized for doing the thing really well so that people know you.
Right.
I guess. Again, fame, I don't know why anyone would want fame. I hope everyone gets famous and see how awful it is.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be able to live your life and go to Walmart. Like, ask Post Malone if he would rather be famous or not famous. Right. He still wants to be able to create his music because that's his gift to the world. He's beautiful at it. But the dude would probably love to just be like, oh man, I think I'm just going to go to Walmart, grab a rotisserie chicken and head home. You can't do that. It's fucking Post Malone. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But now with all these reality shows and all these things, people are just getting sort of plucked out of obscurity. They're just living their normal lives. And now they have 2 million followers on Instagram for doing nothing. That's the issue. And so we're not, like with kids especially, we're not creating sort of work ethic, sort of accountability, responsibility, becoming an expert in something in your field. Like Andrew Huberman, you know who he is?
Yes.
Has a podcast. He's famous now. He's got like the top podcast in the whole world. But is he excellent at something? You're damn right he is. Spent years and years studying his craft, and now he explains it in a sophisticated manner. He just so happens to be that a lot of people follow him. You were excellent at something. A lot of people followed you, but you fell into the trap that a lot of people are falling into. This attention thing, the more it happens, it sort of becomes like this rat race. I need more of this. I need more of this. I need more of this. And it becomes challenging, but it was sort of the perfect mesh for you. But I'm glad you met that shaman and it changed your life.
Yeah, it was the most incredible thing. You know, it's he said before we started that there's no new ideas that are going to be put into your mind. It's going to be things that are already there that are just going to come out. And it was, so many things came out of that session. And why I say it was like life-changing, I never needed another psychology session after that. I addressed my anxiety. I addressed everything. 3.5 years-ish from then till now, I'm a completely different person. I couldn't sleep at night. Since I was a kid, I was going to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning because I was too nervous to go to sleep. You know, thinking something bad's going to happen if I go to sleep. I have to be awake to protect my family. I was like that since I was a young kid. You know, I was born in South Africa, and you know, it's a dangerous place to live. I have cousins that were tied up, and home invasions and carjackings. It's normal. It's a normal thing when you're living there. And at the time that I was there, it was a very, very dangerous time, which is why we moved to Canada. But it really left an imprint on me. So even though I was in Canada in a safe suburb, because I spent 8 years in that environment of everything is scary and everyone's out to get you, I really, really believed always that somebody was out to get me. My family's going to get hurt. So, you know, my parents would go to bed whenever they go to bed, 11, 12. And I'd stay up well until like 4 or 5 in the morning, just so that at least I know I'm awake, that if something happened, I can call the cops. I can do something to protect my family. Yeah. You know? So after the shot, I started going to sleep. It was just really life-changing in every way.
Were you staying up late after your kids were born too? Was it worse then?
It was the same.
It was the same.
It was just different things to be nervous about. You know, I would go check my kids if they're breathing, and, you know, because you never know. I'm like, okay, I hope they're breathing tonight, and, you know, go check. And if I think, are they breathing? And I'll go back to sleep. Of course they're breathing. But what if they're not? And I got to go and check if they're breathing.
Yeah. Psychedelics. Magical tool. Yeah. Was when the time you were fully invested in your Instagram, was that your like full-time job? Was that making you money, or how were you making money?
No, it was not monetizing at all. I wanted to, my goal with that was to write a book and then to have the followers buy the book. That was going to be the play there. At the time I was working with my dad's company, family business. Okay. Doing just, you know, marketing and whatever else has to get done. Collections, debt collections. So I had fun with that, actually. You know, I used to do a lot of prank calls as well. So I had a good time on the phone with, you know, I made debt collecting actually a fun thing. I would create like jokes and memes that I would send out as funny ways to ask for money. Because it's an awkward thing to ask a good customer for money. So I figured, okay, how do we turn this into like a fun, friendly encounter rather than a you owe me money encounter?
Right.
So, I would like have I find a picture of a cow and I'd write on there, be like, you owe me Mooney, just like stupid nonsense. But like, the customers, they laughed and like, they apologized, oh, I'm so sorry. But they asked if they could use those sort of like memes that I would send them. They can use them for their customers. So I started creating a little bit of like a debt collection letters for companies to kind of use. It's like a little fun side hustle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So you see the shaman, you decide you want to delete your Instagram.
Yes.
Where do you go from there?
So he told me, wait, he says, don't do anything that's a drastic thing to do. You spent so many years working on this thing. You're in a really inspired place right now, but settle down, let things make sense. And if you still want to delete your social media, then, proceed after that. But don't do anything spur of the moment right now. You're in a very altered state, and just be careful with what you want to do. One of the things that did come up was, my truest self, like what really makes me happy, and I saw myself as my inner child with dogs. I love dogs. I grew up with dogs, and I just felt like I needed to do something with dogs. I don't know what it was, but I came out of that experience and I said, I don't know about the comedy. I don't know anything about that, but I have to do something with dogs, and but integrate it with my personality. So, a little funny and quirky. And it took probably about, I'd say a year of thinking about what am I going to do until I came up with what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. But so it kind of led me away from comedy. I did a little bit of stand-up after that.
Did you?
I did. And I was a lot better with it.
Just because you were freer and...
Freer, I didn't care. I didn't care who laughed, who didn't laugh. And it worked pretty well that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Were you still writing at this time?
Yeah, I write every day.
You still write every day. How do you think about creativity? So I don't know if you listen to Rick Rubin.
No.
The musical producer.
Okay.
He talks about creativity all the time. I've been trying to read his book. Not trying to. I am reading his book. Not trying. That's good money. Anyways, but it's like putting words into the creative process sometimes can be very challenging. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like how you stay creative, or why, or what your process is like, or what you do daily?
I mean, I wish I had an answer. I've tried to do things to make me creative. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. I kind of just think of something and I go with it. Mm. When I say, okay, I'm going to go and write for an hour, I never come up with anything. But if I'm driving or if I'm doing something different, that's when the ideas come. Mm. It's kind of, I've got to be thinking about something else, or somebody will say something and it triggers like a funny thought. Oh, okay, I'll write that down. Or just, spur of the moment stuff. Like I was at the grocery store. My wife asked me to get, she's making potato leek soup. So leeks, okay. So I grabbed an extra bunch of leeks, and before I went home, I went to Sears. They have like the sort of the floor with the display dishwashers and everything. Mm-hmm. Nothing's plugged into anything, but like the sales floor. And I go and I put leeks in the dishwashers, and I call the sales guy, and like there's a leak in the dish. He was like, it's not plugged in. Like, I'm telling you, like I honestly, he came in, like he pulled the thing and there's a leak in there. And he was like, why are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. It's just like stupid. It's like playing.
I don't know.
and then that kind of triggers more jokes and more ideas and thinking.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. No, I mean, it's hard though, right? That question is hard. Like most creative people who do creative endeavors mm-hmm. have a hard time like writing it down or explaining it. It's just something sort of intrinsic to them. Like, this is my nature. Right. I am this sort of person. The same way someone is like meticulous or athletic potentially, mm-hmm. right? Some of these things are skills you can acquire, but a lot of these things are sort of the personality traits that Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about all the time, the big five,
sure.
that sort of you're born with and that dominate parts of your personality.
I thought I was autistic. I was hoping that I was, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah. I went to a different route to test myself if I was autistic. I was excited to think that I might be because it would explain so much. In my mind, at least, I thought like, and I was thinking like, what kind of, there's different kinds of autism, I guess. I don't know. So I thought, okay, maybe I did an online test and it told me that I have Asperger's. And I thought, perfect, like whatever that means, I believe it. So that my friend psychologist that I was seeing, I told him, like, yeah, I checked it out and I have Asperger's. He's like, you don't have Asperger's. I'm like, but I did a test. So and I was hoping, I told my parents that I have Asperger's. Like, I was hoping, like.
Why were you hoping so much? So you had something to explain your behavior?
It was just something would make sense. Yeah.
So what did your psychologist friend tell you?
Nah, he's not. You're not. I'm like I'm on the spectrum a little bit. He goes, no, you're not on the spectrum. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it was just like, it was a little disappointing, but is what it is.
Yeah, you just have you have openness, creativity.
Right.
Yeah, this is a great thing. It makes you you. You go put leeks in the dishwasher at Sears. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
So what do you? So what were you? You're creating the business that we're about to talk about.
Right.
It took you about a year to come up with the idea. We'll talk about it in a second. Were you doing anything else, job wise, at that moment?
Yes, working with the family business.
Oh, still doing that.
Yeah, still doing that.
Okay.
COVID came.
Yeah.
And I was kind of over it before it started. I saw it coming like a mile away because I really grew up like I'm a skeptical, I really am a skeptic on most things.
You're still in Toronto at this point.
I'm still in Toronto. I wouldn't say that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I really enjoy conspiracy theories. I like looking into them, learning about them. I find them really unique. So when COVID came, I told my wife, I'm like, it's going to be crazy and it's going to be nonsense. And it is just like, whatever. I'm just like, whatever. People started wearing the masks and everyone's dying. Oh, okay. So then for about a month, I was like really, really terrified. I would say for the first month, because you hear people are dying and bodies are piling up.
Right.
So, but after I washed groceries for 2 hours, you bring it home, you put the stuff on the counter, it's like Lysol, the bread bags and the cracker boxes. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to keep washing groceries for 2 hours once I come home. So like whatever people are dying from, I think like if it's my time, it's my time. Like I'm not going to live this way.
Yeah.
So I stopped wearing the mask like early. I was an early no masker. And I wasn't allowed here or there. I couldn't go to the store. Like, I wasn't allowed to go pray at synagogue. I was banned from pretty much everywhere because I was not wearing masks. And I wasn't going to wear the mask to go to places. I felt there was a principle to uphold. Like, I think there was a big overreaction. For me, this is, it's not popular. Maybe, I don't know. I guess there it was a very unpopular view. And my kids were in school and they were being forced to wear masks. And I've got like little kids. And it was really, really impacting them. So I told my wife, I said, we've got to get away for like 3 weeks, just take time off of work and just drive. We'll go to Texas. We'll drive. It's free there. It's open, just to kind of get some space. Mm-hmm. Now at this time, Walmart was they had caution tape over anything that was not an essential item. My kids needed books for school. You could not buy books because they were not considered essential. They were not food items. So books you could not buy books. You could not buy hangers. You could not buy clothes. Like none of that, right? They had these things in Toronto called snitch fees. Well, we called them snitch fees. If you have a neighbor and they've got more than 10 people in the backyard, you call a special 1-800 number and the officials will come over, bust them, break them up, and you will get a prize that was like 700 something bucks for kind of letting them know what's going on, and your neighbor would get a fine. And so this stuff was happening, and I felt like there's just too much craziness going on. So, packed up our car and drove here. The whole time in my mind, back of my mind, I'm thinking like, we're not driving. We're going to live in Texas. So I told my kids, I said, pack anything you don't want to leave behind, just put in a backpack. Everyone takes one backpack because we're going in the car. We've got our dog in there too. And come up here for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And the day before we were supposed to drive back, I told my wife, what do you think about living here? So we're in a hotel. She goes, what do you mean? How are we going to live here? I said, by just not driving back. Let's just stay.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, but you have your job there. Like, I have my job. Like, we have all these things in our house and our stuff. Like, what are we going to do? I'm like, let's just try. Let's just see what happens. So we had like a 2-day, like the next we didn't go. So it's okay, let's delay one day. So we had like a 2-day argument about like, what should we do?
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to keep living in Texas. Called my parents, let them know we're not coming back. It's like, what do you mean you're not coming back? We like it here too much. It's free. It's open. Like we're going to live here. And so in order for us to be here legally, we needed to do something. I had this idea from the shaman, this dog business,
mm-hmm.
right? And I thought, like, what a perfect place to start a business. It's Texas. It's America. There's dogs everywhere. I think this is going to be it's going to be absolutely perfect. Like, it's what an opportunity to like start fresh and do something different.
Yeah.
So that's how, that kind of turned into.
That's how it manifested.
Yes.
And then you came up with the actual idea.
Yes.
Which is
mushrooms for dogs. Shrooms.
Mushrooms for dogs.
Yes. Non-psychedelic.
Right.
But functional medicinal mushrooms. They're super healthy for people. Like lion's mane for cognition, and all the chaga and cordyceps, and turkey tail for immune system. So I've got 2 different products. One specifically geared towards cognitive support, one for immune support,
mm-hmm.
and
specifically made for dogs.
I mean, they're made that people can take them, but they're marketed towards dogs.
Dogs, because you love dogs.
Because I love dogs, and I feel like I want people to buy them for their dogs.
Yeah. So what was it like getting this business together?
Very, very challenging. I'm still dealing with immigration right now.
Becoming getting a working visa or becoming a citizen?
It took about a year to get an actual working visa that I can start taking money from the company. I had no salary for a year, and I really was. I went by the books, because I want to do everything properly and legally. So I really did not take a penny on salary for like over a year. So my wife was
from the business that you created.
Yeah, from anything. My wife was working remotely for a Canadian company, and so we were getting paid in Canadian dollars, and we were living our life in American dollars and paying taxes in Canadian dollars, like close to the high 30% income tax, and so we really came up with we had like we were burning into our savings. It was really living in a hotel for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because we had no U.S. credit, so no one would rent us anything.
Right.
So it was really like, it sounds like it was a really bad decision, coming with 4 kids and a dog, living in a hotel with, you're going negative each month. But it just felt like this was the best thing we could do. Like, we're in a place where my kids were now happy. My wife was smiling. Like, Toronto was it was a really, really difficult place to live. And I was really excited to start on my venture.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of, let's just go with it and see what happens. And I'm a believer that if you do the right thing, things will work out. You don't have to know how things are going to work out, but they will work out.
Mm-hmm.
So that took about a year to be able to even start earning money with what I was doing. And right now, even I'm still in the immigration process. Like, I can earn money, but I can't leave the country because I won't be able to get back into the country. I've got to wait for a visa, and they're backed up at the embassies. So it's a whole thing, but worth it. I would not have changed a thing.
Yeah. It's so interesting in those moments when you feel like you're in the trenches, but you have this bit of blind faith that it's going to work out.
Right.
Like, I'm in it. Yeah, it's hard for everyone, me, my family, but like, I see why it's hard. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I see the vision. That's why it is important to have a vision for your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important to have a blind faith. Maybe not, it's so blind, but sometimes you can't see why you should have faith or what you're looking towards, but that it could work out if you put in the right attention, effort, and work, right? Things don't just work out to work out, but you were working, moving, hustling, grinding, putting in effort. Yeah, and that's the point where you get quote unquote lucky, right, from the universe. But if I'm just like sitting at my couch all day and I'm like, things are just going to work out. Probably not.
Right. Yeah.
No, but if you're in the world, in the arena, getting the blood, the sweat, the tears over and over and over again, yeah, you grind it out long enough and there's compound interest, and then there you are. You're like with the thing that you're so proud of, you know, and now you have that.
Right. I mean, when we were wanting to leave, all of our passports were expired, and they would not renew our passports. Right. So we went to the passport office. They said, no, you have no essential reason to renew your passports. What do you mean? Like, I'm not a criminal. Why? I feel like the people that can't get their passports renewed are people that can't leave the country because there's something wrong. Like, I'm not detained. Like, what's the problem here? So they said, well, it's COVID, and they're only renewing passports for people that have essential reasons to renew passports. So I asked them for a list of essential reasons. One of them was medical. So I did a little bit of research, and I found a really, really great sports clinic in Plano that does a shoulder specialist, because I'd had a torn labrum and issues with my shoulder.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, maybe it's a good time to go and get my shoulder addressed. So we got requisitions, and we went to the passport office with a requisition to go to Plano to get my shoulder checked out, and they signed everything, and that's what got us our passports renewed.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So with your business,
yes,
did you get investors? You just did it all by yourself? It's just you doing the whole thing.
Just the grind, yeah.
Yeah. So you have a website, you have social medias.
Just started with the social media again. Like, I really was not excited to start with social media.
Yeah, I was texting you back because I wanted to see if you were online, and now it makes sense because you're like, I haven't tweeted since 2017, and I was like, man, this guy's cool. How does he do this? And that makes a lot of sense now why that's the case. But you have a website. That website will be linked in the show notes. You're doing the packaging and the delivering and the shipping all by yourself?
Yes, yeah, everything, yeah.
From your house?
From my house. I linked up with a really great organic farm in San Diego. So I get the mushrooms from there. They grow everything, all the different varieties, and they turn into powder. They blend it for me, and I get it into my own packaging.
And you created the packaging and all the...
I created the packaging, yeah.
Wow.
And the specifications, I'll tell them how much chaga went in this one, how much lion's mane in that one, and they go through it. They third-party test everything. Like, they're a really, really solid company.
Wow, man,
yeah.
You fucking did it.
We're there. Not yet. On the way.
Yeah, but you still, you deserve a pat on the back. A job well done. Obviously, you want to continue to move forward with all that, but man, that's cool. And fun. Your dogs currently take it?
Yes. I take it. My dog takes it.
Yeah.
I sneak into my kids' food.
Do you?
I do.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, because I've had a few experiences with psychedelics, as I've shared on this podcast. I think they can be really powerful. But I also like to mention a caveat that it's not like this thing that you can do recreationally without intention or the appropriate set or setting, and it's just going to magically change your life and everything's going to be perfect moving forward.
No, absolutely
not. It's just not the case. Just like anything, you have to do your due diligence about what you're going to take, why you're taking it, and why it's important to you. Potentially using a shaman, or at least having someone around you who can take care of you, who's sober, who's can understand where you're moving, and they don't have you go into the wrong direction or anything dangerous like that. You set intentions, you have a pre-plan, a post-plan, a during plan. You have all of these things that you incorporate into this hopefully therapeutic and revelatory thing that you're trying to accomplish. Right. Not just like this loose, throw it away, I'm going to take this extremely powerful drug with no intention whatsoever.
Right.
That's dangerous. That's reckless. That's how it used to be used when people were partying with it. And I'm sure people do that now. But if you're someone who's thinking about this and you have maybe some trauma or PTSD or severe mental health conditions, or just like nothing has seemed to really work for you, this might be a path that you want to look into further and deeper, but with really, really strong due diligence again, and with some strong intentionality with some professionals, because it can be really powerful. In your experience, it was. In my experience, it has been as well. And so that's my sort of PSA on psychedelics.
And then microdosing too is quite amazing too. So in Canada, it was not really a legal thing, but it was a decriminalized thing. You can buy them; they come to your door. No one's checking up on you, but you take just enough that you don't see colors. You're not tripping out, but you're kind of living on a frequency.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was amazing. Like anything that you're working on, you're very focused on that thing, and you see it at really interesting angles, and it's clear, and you're extra creative. I really, really am looking forward to that becoming a legal thing here, because I think it's a game changer. I think if everybody was on I think everybody's on something anyway, whether it's like cough medicine. People are taking something for everything, right?
Sure.
Killers. But if everybody's on mushrooms, I think the world will be a better place.
Yeah, maybe. It's an interesting thought. Yeah. So. What does your Judaism have to do, or how does it play a part in your life currently? How has it played a part in your whole life too?
A big role, very big role.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up really traditional, not observant, but I grew up, only eat kosher food growing up. So I've never had lobster or cheeseburgers that I know of. Maybe I've had it by accident. I don't know, but I kind of grew up that way.
Yeah.
Go to synagogue every Saturday. And when I got a little bit, I'd say about 18 years old, I just decided to kind of travel down that path a little more, see what there is. And I was in university. I was in school for this advertising program. And we had these Jewish high holidays coming up. And I decided that I was going to go and observe these high holidays for the first time. I don't know what they do, but let me go check it out. So I told my teacher, who was Jewish, I figured he'll be happy to hear that I'm going to go do this thing. Mm-hmm. And I asked him if I could, we had like a big project due around that time. So can I present my project early? I'm going to take these 2 days off to observe the Jewish holiday. He says, no, you presented with the class on that day. It's like, but I won't be here on that day because it's a Jewish high holiday. So he told me, he says, you have to make a decision. It's either your education or your religion. You can't do both. And just hearing me say, it was like a really shocking thing to hear. But it kind of made me think, like, if he's saying that, there's got to be something to the religion thing. Like, why would he be so upset with the idea for me doing religion and education? So it was like really, really bizarre. So long story short, I ended up dropping the course, and I went to the synagogue, and I don't say that I got inspired from being at synagogue, but I've always been like a spiritual person, and it was a way to really connect some spiritual ideas. Right. So I went down the rabbit hole there, and I do live as much of an observant life that I can, like always trying to grow, So it's
yeah, and your children as well.
Yeah, my kids as well.
Do you guys attend synagogue or things like that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, for me, I go twice a day. I go in the morning and then in the evening.
Wow.
Yeah, right across from the jiu-jitsu.
Oh, to that place. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Yeah, Judaism has also been an extremely powerful and important part of my life. I like it for a lot of things, but mostly because it's a religion that's based on action. Mm-hmm. When this episode comes out, there'll have been an episode or two right before this that I had with a rabbi, Rabbi Eli Block, who is the rabbi at Chabad in Plano. And we had a very nice conversation about some of the tenets of Judaism. And the piece that I love the most is that Judaism is based on action. Mm-hmm. It's based on action, how you show up in the world. Yes, right. It matters what you say, of course. Words are important, but actions matter the most. Mm-hmm. How do you show up? How do you act? What are your daily choices? That's what it's about. And then, believing that there's this sort of divine spark that lives inside of you, and how can you express that freely and openly in the world? I think those are my most important pieces. And I think all religions have that aspect. I just know Judaism the most, and that's the one that I feel, most drawn to, since it's been my whole existence, my whole family, all of that stuff. So super powerful stuff, man.
Yes. I feel like it's so much is to do with intention as well.
Yes.
If you, so like you're right, there's so much action, but doing something when your heart's not in it, is it's almost as though it was not done at all or done well at all. Like you gotta have a real intention to do something. If you wanna go and help somebody, and do a kindness, you really got to put your heart into it and mean to do a nice thing.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're just doing it because you just want to, get points to get out of the way, it's like almost like you didn't do it. You have to do it with your heart first.
Yeah, it's true. All right, last topic.
Yes.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
When did that start? Why? Tell me everything.
So I started about a month before I left. Well, before COVID, probably. Yeah, and then everything shut down. Everything, it went online. I thought, how do you do jiu-jitsu online? And it was the same price. I'm like, I can't do jiu-jitsu online.
Who are you supposed to train with?
I know.
Who are you rolling with?
Yeah, just learning moves and
I mean, I get an idea like if you sit down and watch a seminar about someone breaking down jiu-jitsu, but you can't do class by yourself. What am I like?
They're hip escaping on the ground. Like in your
all right,
basement.
Shrimp.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. So that lasted about a month.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. Every single class I would, I work myself until I'm sick. It's probably like, a little out of shape and whatever, but I drive home and I always have to stop to throw up. I felt great about it.
That a boy?
Yeah. And when I got here into Plano, found this gym here. Okay, let's get this going.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's awesome.
You got jiu-jitsu and Judaism right in the same in the same place.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about jiu-jitsu? What do you think it offers you?
For me, it's I really like something where it forces me to think, and I generally don't feel very smart. So hearing our Professor Ricardo, he's awesome. He's teaching something, and I'm really trying to focusing on what he's teaching, and I'm trying to make it make sense. So I feel like every time I'm trying to work on what he's showing us, I'm building pathways that weren't there before. How to move your body, how to move somebody else's body, and I feel smarter after every class. I just feel like something made sense, didn't make sense before. So that's a big one. Fitness, I'm trying to get into shape, so that's another thing, and just being uncomfortable. I really, really enjoy discomfort when I get to choose it on my own terms. Because there's going to be times in life when you're uncomfortable that are not on your terms. So I feel like if you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, when you are uncomfortable, when you don't choose it, you're going to deal with it a lot better.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and it's a little bit frustrating in the summertime. The first thing I do when I wake up is a cold shower because it sucks. But after you have a cold shower, it's like you've already done something that sucks. So the next thing you have to do in the day is not going to be as bad as that. So everything is a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So, there's times in the class where it hurts or I feel tired or I don't want to go because I feel like I'm just going to get smothered by this guy what's that position, mother's milk. When the guys had me in that thing for entire 6 minutes and I can't breathe. It's horrible. That's real suffering.
Right.
And you don't want to go back the next day because you don't want to be stuck under his boob for 6 minutes. It's not fun.
Right.
But that makes it more interesting to me is going back after that because it sucked so bad. I want to go back to the suck so that one day when something really does suck that I've already had the suck on my own terms.
Right. Yeah. You're simulating a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So that when the struggle happens in real life, in real time, you're more equipped to handle it.
Right.
I mean, that's the basic foundation of choosing to do things that are hard every single day. Because you have chosen and unchosen suffering. Mm-hmm. Unchosen suffering is just the bad shit that happens to all of us.
Right.
Inevitably the bad shit, death, heartbreak, job loss, car wreck, all of these things. They're going to happen. That's the unchosen stuff. But the chosen stuff, whatever you choose to do that's hard, just gives you a bit of armor. Right. You're protecting yourself. So when those bad situations come and you fall down, you can pick yourself back up. You can pick yourself back up over and over and over again. And then you've built this sense of identity within yourself that you are this person. Right. I don't give a fuck what happens to me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pick myself back up. Not to say I'm not accepting the fact that it sucks and it's really hard and I'm sad and I'm grieving and this is painful, but I can pick myself back up, simply put. And jiu-jitsu teaches you that. And so does anything that you do that's hard. You want to go do a triathlon or, run 3 miles every day or do a cold plunge or get in the sauna or, you know, decide that you're going to read 30 pages in a book every single day. If you're not a reader, that's hard too, right? All of that stuff. You just got to choose it because life is going to be hard no matter what. Like no matter what, it's going to be hard. Might as well choose some things to do that are hard voluntarily. So it's a little less miserable.
Right. For me, I would never tell my parents or people that I love them growing up. Because I felt like if I get too attached to somebody and if I love somebody too much and life happens and they pass away, they go, I'm going to be so heartbroken. So it was my way to hide from life, so that if I don't get close to people, I'm not going to feel any pain if something happens.
Right.
And so I did that for many, many years. It was like a terrible mistake. So when I realized that I'm doing this, you know, this bad thing, it's really not a good way to live. I went with that mentality. Life is going to happen. I don't care. I'm in a different place right now. Once you have that psychedelic experience, you see the world in a different way. And I kind of just built a confidence to live in this world without being scared about what might happen.
Yeah. Yeah, because all the good things happen in the present moment. You know, all the good things. And I'm sure you've learned to love because you have kids and a wife and like, you know what real love is.
Right.
You know what true love is. And, you know, seeing something and wanting it to flourish and be beautiful. And how can I set an example for that? And like, you know, that stuff is, you know, it's magical, really.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, I got one question for you. Stolen from Tim Ferriss, my favorite podcaster. If you were going to put a billboard up and millions of people were going to see that billboard every single day, what would you put on it?
I love my wife.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was something not even about me, just like how great she is. I would have to figure out how I can let the world know how great she is.
How great is she?
The best. I can't even put words.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Any closing thoughts, remarks, comments, questions, concerns, funny stories, anecdotes?
There's so many. One thing I just do want to say, I was watching you have a podcast, Champions Adjust. And I didn't know it was a baseball podcast at first.
Oh, yeah?
Because I've seen the shirt and like, okay, cool, let me see what's going on there.
Yeah.
I love baseball. I'm obsessed.
Oh, really?
I'm obsessed with baseball.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
So I moved to Toronto in 92, just in time for the World Series, right? So it was a good time to be an 8-year-old moving to a...
Yeah, it's a great time.
It was fantastic. And, you know, baseball is a big part of my life. It always has been. I started playing fantasy baseball since I can't remember a time when I really wasn't playing fantasy baseball. Probably I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
And every year, like I'm very, 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 very much into it. I'll watch any game. You know, I've got on my phone MLB. I don't care who the teams are. I'll watch a baseball game.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like super obsessed. I like my dream for like a very long time was to be a GM.
That's cool. That's cool. That's a tough job, but a cool job.
Yeah, that's
Are the Blue Jays your favorite team?
They used to be.
Now you like the...
So I'm more of a baseball fan than I am a homer. But you know, I'm here in Texas. I'm a Ranger.
Have you been to the Rangers ballpark?
Once.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping they make the playoffs so we can go.
Me too.
Right now they're sitting really well.
Yes.
The Astros are coming though. They're a good team. But Rangers are looking good. I'm glad they picked up Scherzer too. That was a big trade.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And he loves dogs too. He's a good dog guy.
Yes. It's important if you like dogs.
Yes.
You know, it shows your true heart. But that's great that you like baseball. And thank you for listening and watching to that.
Yeah.
And you listen and watch this one too.
Yeah, that's great.
And now you've been on it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What a magical journey. What a magical journey. Well, thank you, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming over. Thank you, guys. See you next time. Cheers.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But above all else, most importantly, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.